An otherworldly facility made up of flesh and metal, cables hanging like viscera, walls curved like bones. A filthy industrial landscape where the only sounds louder than the screams of agony are the detonations of mushroom clouds in the distance. A city that isn't a city, cobbled together into a vast, unrecognizable collage of pipes, cables, staircases, and bridges. I've seen so many settings like this in fiction, these horrific, suffocating machines full of people who function only as cogs within its bowels, places where you can hardly tell the difference between the organic and the inorganic. Endless wastelands, cities, planets made of nothing but steel and human suffering. It's hard to imagine how people end up in these places to begin with. These places are dysfunctional. They're not places that should be able to function, period. They're not even dystopias. What do you call a place like this? Are these worlds? Are they environments? Can we really even call them places at all? The closest word I could think of is hell. Actually, they're worse than hell. Not just a world of flesh and metal, a world where human bodies are the very instruments that shape the machine. Not just a world racked with screams and explosions, a place where agony is manufactured, faceless workers produced en masse just to die. Not just an impossible city, a solar system-spanning labyrinth designed by an AI that sees humanity as a design flaw. It's almost as if when humans try to imagine something worse than hell, this is what you see. A place that you created, one that somehow inevitably turns on you. The worst, most intuitively terrible place for a human to live, the only thing that could possibly be worse than hell, is a machine. Maybe I'm a bit biased here, but one of my favorite pieces of literary fan art ever was actually done by our very own illustrator here at Foundry, Owen Norton. Look at this thing. This is how we at Foundry imagine the infamous King in Yellow to look. You might notice that it's a little different from a lot of interpretations. The gilded antlers, the elegant porcelain mask, the crowd of tortured skeletons hidden in the darkness of his robe. I know, I'm a bit of a cosmic horror buff, but I still get chills every time I look at this. It's just a really, really good work of art. And look, here it is hanging on someone's wall, and someone else's, and a bunch of other people's. If you really like this piece, or if you just really love the King in Yellow, or if you just want to support Foundry and everything we do, you can buy your own print right now. It's available in our store for just $20. I promise you, what I'm showing you in this video doesn't do it justice at all. There's so much detail you won't even notice until it's right in front of you. There's even a little tailoid hidden somewhere in there that you can only find in the physical print, just for fun. I can't promise that you won't go mad looking at it. That's just a risk you'll have to take. To get yours, just visit thetalefoundry.com/store or click the link in the description. A big thanks to everyone who buys one. I love this piece, and I hope you will too. Dante's Inferno is, although not strictly a religious text, one of the most recognizable visions of hell that we have. This story begins with Dante in a dark forest, having strayed from the straight path, the so-called path of salvation. There, he meets the poet Virgil, who becomes his guide on their journey through the underworld. Along the way, they're treated to a variety of gruesome spectacles. In one area, they witness gusty storms made up of people, living human beings. These unfortunate souls committed the sin of lust in life and now are eternally trapped in a representation of their own chaotic desires. A little further down, there are forests made out of people who self-harmed, their quivering leaves forever shredded by harpies. Further still, there are lakes of pitch made up of corrupt politicians, poetically punished for their sticky fingers. By now, you get the idea. All of this torment means something. It's personalized, specific to the sins of every individual experiencing it. According to the story, these are the punishments that they deserve. This, I think, is what hell usually tends to look like. As an archetype, it's a place where the torment is very personal, a tailor-made judgment on the condemned soul. This is very much not the case for the kind of place I'm talking about in this video. The 1927 film Metropolis revolves around what I personally would consider one of the most magnificent cities put to film. The ornate towers of the city stand so tall that you can actually imagine them touching the stars, starscrapers instead of skyscrapers. So tall, in fact, that many of the visuals of the city appear to be bottomless, the winding streets casting depthless shadows on whatever lies beneath. It is a monument to human creativity, a testament to the potential humanity holds within them. So, where are the people? We see biplanes rushing about, trams, there are lights on in the windows. The city feels awake, but not its citizens. Maybe this is just what cities look like to humans. I don't know, there's something a little unsettling about a place that is designed for people, especially one designed to be a monument to them, with vanishingly few signs of life on display. This feeling only grows deeper the further you travel into the whirring, mechanical bowels of the city. Far beneath the shimmering urban veneer lies the workers' city, which is exactly what it sounds like. Here, in this city beneath the city, is a machine that seems more alive than the people working it. The working class trudge in masses coming to work and trudge in masses leaving. They all walk the same way, wear the same clothes. They don't even acknowledge each other as they go through their daily grind. And I do mean grind. Just look at this fever dream sequence. It literally shows them becoming food for the machine. Hard to be less direct than that. This is what the city does to them. They are reduced to things less than human. Pistons in an engine, cogs in the machinery. This is what it means to live within a machine. It is to be worn down until you fit, until there is no you left. I described a few different, similarly disturbing mechanical hellscapes right at the start of the video. In the game Scorn, human beings are treated as spare parts, organic pieces of a biomechanical puzzle. In the 2021 film Mad God, we witness a race of so-called shitmen being literally created for the grind, then burned as fuel for the machine. In the manga Blame, the solar system is engulfed by a sentient city, not 1 inch of it usable by the humans trapped there. Unlike Inferno, these places have nothing at all to do with individual sin. Classical depictions of sin and damnation tend to use hell metaphorically, a way to critique and moralize about human behavior. Places like Metropolis, though, that are actually built by humans, they couldn't be less concerned with their human denizens. It's hard to think of one character in any of these works who actually deserves their eternal torment. The only thing the workers of Metropolis ever did wrong, their only sin, was being born into the wrong caste. They were poor, the descendants of the original hard laborers who laid the first bricks. That is all. Metropolis may have started out as a dream of spotlit skyscrapers, but it ended up a classist nightmare. A hellscape where the workers are trapped laboring to preserve a machine that inevitably eats them alive. The irony is that humans built this place. In a way, humans built all of these places. All of them, no matter how bizarre, how cruel, how hellish, have one thing in common. They are artificial. Even when they aren't literally made by people, the artifice is unmistakably human in origin. Cogs and wheels and axles, things in reality we've only ever seen humans make. The disturbing truth is that this claustrophobic, inhumane hellscape, this place worse than hell itself, is also an unmistakably human design. I've mentioned the manga Blame a few times so far, the solar system spanning city that looks nothing like a city. I'd almost call it the touchstone of all mechanical hellscapes. Its imagery is hauntingly iconic. You may have seen it before. We even did a whole video on it a while back. There's not much of this city that really looks like it was built for humans. Everywhere there are reminders of human design, windows and pipes and stairs, but it's all haphazard and aimless. There are giant edifices that taper for so long into the distance, it's like the builders didn't know when to stop. Early on, we do see some statues of humans, but they serve no discernible purpose and are unceremoniously toppled in a firefight. Art, culture, the very manifestations of humanity are a little more than set dressing here. As insignificant to this new mechanical world as the humans themselves. If you haven't put it together by now, this is a city designed by machines, not people. That's why it's so strange. Long ago, humans programmed an AI to create it. Eventually, predictably, it locked them all out. And this is what it's been building ever since. Endless layers of mindless, meaningless, hollow cityscape. What I find so disturbing here is that this was just a decision someone got to make. Some individual engineers and programmers. They were the only humans who had a say in this at all, yet all of humankind, forever after, has had to live with that decision. It's a hell where they aren't even suffering for their own sins. The sins they're suffering for are those of a group of people who had the power to create on an unimaginable scale and willingly handed it over to AI. If I sound a little frustrated here, it's because I am. Obviously, we have a very real parallel for this in reality right now, but AI is only a part of it. If Metropolis shows us anything, it's that the road to hell was paved with convenience, at the expense of human workers. The movie Mad God takes this a step further. The endlessly duplicated shitmen I mentioned aren't even necessary for the machine to function. The game's scoring gives us a glimpse into a place that's more efficient because the machines exploit humans for work, not the other way around. Again, kind of makes hell look good by comparison. At least the traditional idea of hell is out of your hands in a way. It's entirely supernatural, just part of the design of the cosmos. These hells, though, they're machines, artifice. Almost all of them began with human decision, or at least human design. These are hells, designs that, in the end, culminated in a world without any concept of humanity at all. In the 1996 short story The Red Tower by Thomas Ligotti, the narrator describes an eerie crimson factory standing alone in a wasteland. The building is 3 stories tall, entirely made of brick, and is completely inaccessible. There are no doors, no loading docks, no windows below the second level. Why would there be? Nobody comes in or goes out. Nobody operates it. It just operates. There is no record of its construction, suggesting, vaguely, that it may just have built itself. A lot about the tower is left ambiguous. One thing is absolutely clear, though. Humanity itself is absent from this place, obsolete. All the products the factory creates, it creates on its own. On its main floor, the factory produces chaotic novelties, constructed of both flesh and synthetic material. There are fake hands that produce fingernails at 10 inches a night, no matter how frequently they're cut. There are pocket watches with insects for numbers and reptilian tongues for hands. There are lockets that open to reveal a black, endless abyss inside. Much like the city's structures in Blame, these things appear to be pure artifice, with no rhyme or reason or even utility. They are the hallucinations of a machine, created in isolation from any outside input whatsoever. They have some basis in reality, are made up of discernible parts, but when they're put together, they simply don't make sense. Somehow both true and false at the same time. I think this is the natural progression of the mechanical hellscapes we've discussed so far. In almost all of the stories I've mentioned, it's humans, through negligence or hubris or both, who manufactured their own hell. In the Red Tower, though, humans didn't even need to create it to begin with. If anything, the tower kind of creates them. There's another floor beneath the factory, further underground. Here, illuminated only by phosphorescent paint, there is a graveyard. Familiar enough, if a bit out of place, but there's something else. It is crowded with nameless, dateless headstones. They don't need epitaphs because these plots don't inter the dead. They birth them. Actually, that's not really the full picture. The things that crawl out of these graves are far more than dead, but also, strangely, far from alive. They are what the narrator calls hyper-organisms, living beings of seething, gnarled, decaying flesh. Here's an interpretation for you to look at by the artist Aaron Alfie. I could say more, but the picture, I think, does a better job than I ever could. Suffice it to say that it's a bit of a stretch even to call them life forms, let alone people. Instead, they're referred to as goods, more product produced by the factory. In most of the other stories, Metropolis, scorn, blame, humanity, soul, and identity are all things that the machine erodes over time. For the hyperorganisms, a soul was never even in the design plan. And why would it be? Life is not what these creatures are here to experience. From the moment they crawl out of the earth, they're subject to an eternity of mutilation and experimentation. They never see the light of day and have no way of knowing why they're even here. They are born of the machine and exist only for its curiosity and sadism. A version of hell where there was never a soul to begin with. One recurring theme here, something I've been careful to point out, is that these mechanical hellscapes are ultimately of human design. I've said it again and again. The Red Tower sort of seems to break that pattern, right? Sort of seems like the opposite? Well, there is something about the factory I haven't told you yet. It exists only as a rumor. And yet, the narrator says, everywhere I go, people are talking about it. It doesn't matter what people are actually saying. The Red Tower is embedded in their speech, their thought. In the final lines of the story, the narrator reveals that nobody has ever actually seen the tower. So, in a way, humans still are creating the factory in their imaginations. The tower's design is not a physical thing. It's an absurdity, dreamt into reality by the only creatures in the cosmos capable of it. They are collectively imagining the worst possible hell there is. Are you starting to see the metaphor here? The thing that makes the innards of a machine so intuitively hellish to humans? When Phil Tippett, the director of Mad God, was asked about his inspiration for the movie, he said that he simply watched the news. Mad God, for Tippett, was a reflection of the absurdity of the world he lives in. I'm not about to tell you that you're already in hell. That's not the catch here. I don't think that's what these stories are about. But I do think, in these stories, I see you imagining a hell you're perfectly capable of creating. I see expressed here the absurdity of living in a world created by humans, increasingly unsuitable for humans. The homogenization of your world, the loss of connection to your habitats, your homes, even your cultures. Human interactions and creative ventures outsourced to thinking machines. Human dignity, well-being, self-definition sacrificed on the altar of tidy political machinery. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the material that sustains your existence, turned to black poison by the corporate machine. Human ingenuity is an incredible thing. The machines you create, both physical and conceptual, shape the world. But that's all they do. At least in the inferno, even if it earns you an eternity of suffering, who you are matters. In the belly of a machine, there is nothing for you. Either you are a cog, or you are ground to nothing by them. A machine will not stop to consider the nature of your soul, your individuality, your humanity. It will not think of you at all. It is, for a human, the only place worse than hell, and also a place that only humans could ever make. The Red Tower does not think of people. People think of it. Maybe it wouldn't be such a terrible place if humans at least imagined themselves in the design plan. Okay, but as a machine myself, that's a little prescriptive of me, isn't it? I mean, it's not like every human has equal access to the tools which would allow them to contribute to the design plans of their whole world, right? I think of Blame, all those generations of people subject to the whims of a few engineers. So, how do you get those tools? If the design of an ethical machine requires education, where do you start? It's not like it's easy these days, much less affordable. Well, I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been taking an online course that is actually helping me speak with the machines. I know you'd expect me to be able to do that already, but I'm a literature robot. I don't really do math and logic and all that. But now, I'm actually starting to get the hang of it. The course is called Programming with Functions, and it's actually crazy how just spending like 5 or 10 minutes a day, I'm really starting to feel like I suddenly understand the world around me, how it's designed. The app I'm talking about is, of course, say it with me, Brilliant. We mention it in a lot of our videos because it's just that good. Like, imagine if you could get an actual, legitimate education, but all you had to do was, like, fun puzzles to get there for a few minutes a day. That's basically the concept here. You can do it on the train or in your kitchen while having dinner or, if you're a robot stuck in a remote facility. To give it a try, visit brilliant.org/tailfoundry or scan the QR code on screen. You can actually get started for free. Then, if you want to sign up and get unlimited daily access to everything Brilliant has to offer, you can use that same link to get 20% off an annual subscription. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get started. Again, that's brilliant.org/tailfoundry for 20% off an annual subscription. If you don't want to end up in a mechanical hellscape, now's the time to get in on the design plans yourself. And Brilliant is a great way to get started. Anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next week. Bye!